Hey everybody, we've been talking about how God answers prayers. Sometimes the whole church has prayed for something and God's done a miracle. Other times, just a few people knew what to pray for and God still did a miracle. I want to take you back to 2008. Do you remember the recession of 2008? I mean, they were talking about the recession, and it could be the Great Depression, and all the banks started failing, and giant investment firms and insurance companies, AIG, GM went under. All of these too big to fail kind of words were being tossed around, and the economy was literally in shambles. About that time, we as a church, we had been debt-free for 2 solid years because of the $1 million miracle on the eagle and the property. So when the economy got so shaky, the church went ahead and got a $200,000 line of credit to make sure that we could make it through whatever we were facing. We did some things. We suspended things like retirement, and we suspended some of the other benefits to the church staff. We were like, all right, let's roll back to kind of a survival budget, and we knew we weren't going to be. In 2008, we weren't going to be doing any improvements. We weren't going to be, we were just trying to survive. It's why they call it a survival budget. Well, for about a year, in fact, for more than a year, my wife, Nancy, had been praying for a specific thing. She was praying along with several people on the cleaning team. Nancy led the cleaning team at the time. And at that time, we did not have beautiful pavers, pavilion, everything outside that as nice as it is now. We still met out there for donuts, but I want you to visualize this. Some of you remember the days where we had those silver poles with the silver tarps over the poles, and we had mulch, pine bark mulch on the ground, like tons of mulch. And we did our donut time. We did our refreshment time after the service under these silver tarps. It's a redneck pavilion. I mean, I didn't ever have to tell anybody back then, hey, yeah, I grew up a little bit redneck, because all you had to do was look at our pavilion and you knew, oh, definitely rednecks, okay? And it's like, those silver bungee, we still use ones, but we got nicer tarps now. They're white. They're beautiful. And this was our pavilion, and it was on mulch. So the problem was we didn't have tile down the hallway. It was all carpet. And anytime that it would rain, which is a lot in Florida, everybody would track that mulch in. Pine bark mulch would get tracked all the way down the hall into the classrooms every time it rained and every time it was wet out there. And the cleaning team they almost had to vacuum almost every day during the rainy season, which is most of the year here in Florida. So Nancy and some of her team, they've been praying for God to give us pavers. And I'm thinking, pavers? I mean, yeah, that would be nice, but I mean, this is like pavers, how much are pavers? So I started getting some bids. She said, at least let's find out how much we're praying for. So I called a couple guys, had it measured. It's like 2,700, 2,800 square feet. It was $15,000. And we're behind on budget. We're behind on all of the benefits have been suspended. We're cutting back. That was the year that we first did everybody bring snacks for VBS. Here's your snack list. We couldn't afford to buy snacks for our kids. I mean, it was going to be like, you either go buy some goldfish, or we're going to need you to bake brownies for Vacation Bible School that year. It turned out to be a great thing, because the church rallied and everybody would come. They got Teddy Grahams under their arm from Sam's as they're walking into church, or Kool-Aid or Capri Suns, or whatever they're called, and the church provided all the snacks. So this was a time where we were tightening our belt, and there's no way that we could afford something like this. But Nancy's praying. Well, not every single company went out of business. Not everybody was doing poorly. We had somebody, not really in our church, but that used to go to our church. And they moved to another state, and their company did well. And they personally did well. They got a big bonus. So we had this guy who used to go to our church. Him and his wife, kids used to go here. They called up their dad, who was one of our elders at the time, and said, "Hey, Dad, does the church need anything?" They were sort of between churches where they had moved, and he says, "Well, yeah, we got a lot of needs. Let me call Pastor Jerry see what we need." And I told him, I said, "Look," when he called me, I said, "Yeah, actually, I mean, obviously we have plenty of needs, but Nancy's been praying for pavers. Pavers like $15,000." Because he had this big tithe he needed to make on this big annual bonus. So he said, "Well, I don't think it's that much, but let me call and ask him." So he calls and says, "Hey, they've been praying for pavers for every year." He says, "Well, I'm going to write out a check to the church for $9,000. $9,000 we got that Christmas." And I called up the owner of the paver company and said, "Look, when you're out here 9 months ago or 6 months ago, whatever it was, before the crazy Great Recession, it was going to be $15,000. We don't have $15,000. What's the lowest you'll do that for?" He says, "You know what? Here's the deal. I've laid off so many people. I'm just trying to keep the doors open. I'll do it at my cost just to keep kind of a couple of my key workers employed." My cost on that, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? $9,000. In the middle of the Great Recession, in the middle of us doing all these cutbacks, God blessed us with somebody who doesn't even go to church here. Blessed us with the exact amount. They got a bonus 10 times that amount in tithe. And we had pavers, and we have had hardly any mulch for the last, I don't know how long, that's almost 20 years. 17 years it's been going so far. God can do anything. And let me tell you something. God answers prayer. Sometimes he answers prayers when we all pray, and sometimes he answers prayer when just Nancy and a few other people pray. Let's continue to trust him. I can't wait to tell you another story tomorrow.